Hey guys, I want to show you my FMS FCX24 Unimog. This is the first RC crawler that I've ever gotten, and I really like it a lot. I've done a few modifications to it and everything, so I just want to let you know my thoughts on the actual crawler itself and just show you some of the upgrades and mods that I've done to it. First of all, I'll do a really quick review of it. This is a 1/24th scale model, at least that's what they claim it is. It's built on the FCX24 chassis, and this is the only crawler that I have, so I can't really compare it to anything else, but some of the reasons that I really like it is I really like the size. I think 1/24th is small, so it's nice to bring around, and it doesn't take up too much room, which I like. And it's still big enough to drive around indoors and a little bit outdoors, which is pretty fun. It has a 2-speed transmission that you can change via the remote here on channel 3, and I think that makes this mini crawler, especially for this size, incredibly fun. In high gear, it does drive fast enough, a little bit faster than walking speed, so walking around and taking it with you on trails is very fun, because you can have it cruise along with you in high gear. And then in low gear, it's got a lot of torque, so you can crawl around with it, and you got a lot of good speed control. And just for that reason, I think this is one of the standout RC crawlers for this size, which is why I got it. Yeah, it's really great out of the box. I think probably the only thing you'd want to change is the tires for it. It came with these like tractor looking tires, and they are more narrow, and I think there's like less offset or whatever, so they fit, they're not as wide. And so with these wheels, I was flipping the car a lot while driving it. So if I take a turn too fast, it would flip over. And because I kept flipping it over and over, I ended up breaking this little light on this side, as well as the side mirror for this side, just because I just kept flipping it, and those pieces just broke off eventually. So that's a bit of a bummer, but not a big deal. They do sell replacements, mirrors and these light things, on Fair RC for a couple bucks, so not a big deal. But changing the tires and wheels on this thing, these are Injora 1-inch brass beadlock wheels, so they're quite a bit heavier, and they stick out further. And so once I installed these, I haven't had an issue flipping the car. So yeah, I think that is the biggest upgrade I've done to this thing. So I think if you get this, just get heavier wheels that sit a little bit wider, and that'll be nice. Oh, but when I changed the wheel and tires, I had to actually remove the front fender here, because when I would turn and the suspension would bottom out, yeah, it was this way, this outer edge of the tire was scraping against the fender, so I just had to remove those. It's just a couple screws, so not a big deal. Some other modifications I did to this: I added this box back here. I modeled this up to fit perfectly with the truck bed of this car, and it's pretty cool. I actually made it a external, or I just made it hold a battery. These are actually G&B 550 milliamp hour 1S batteries, and I have a ton of these from my little drone that I fly around, so I wanted to be able to reuse these batteries for this, because I didn't want to buy an additional mini FMS battery. This is a really hard to find size, so to fit a battery in here, I think you really have to use this FMS battery, and I didn't want to spend money on these, especially because I have so many of these 1S batteries. So I just made a custom little adapter here. So this is the original battery cable, and then I have an extension running back here underneath the cab and through this little box here. And I have two 1S batteries in series, so because this car runs on 2S. So there you go. So I'm able to fit a 550 milliamp hour 2S battery essentially in here. And this battery box is big enough that I can also fit the little wheel tool. Not like I use it in the field, but I just thought it's nice to keep the tool with the car, I think. This box has a sliding lid, and it's got these two little spring-loaded ball detents to hold it in place. So I just push that in there, nice and secure. Another thing I added was little winches. So here's a little winch on the car. It's actually cool because it's useful if you want to crawl like a more steep rock or whatever. This is basically, it's just one of those badge holder, key keeper, retractable things, and I was able to fit it. I don't know if you can see it. It's this thing right here. I'm able to fit it vertically right behind the ESC receiver all-in-one unit, just right behind there. It's sitting sideways, and then the line is threaded from there up to here. And I made this little winch looking thing, and that just helps keep the string guided in the center of the bumper. So I think it looks pretty cool. This is a fish hook, a treble hook, and I believe it is I'll tell you what size it is. It is a 6X treble hook. Size 6. Size 6 treble hook. I got this off of AliExpress for like $3, and I clip off the barbs and then file it a little bit so it's not too sharp, and then I just tie it onto the end of the badge holder. So it's cool because even when it lets go, it gets pulled back in, nice and held in place. And what's neat is if you're crawling up a steep wall, it's not enough to pull the car up at all. This is it just stretches out, but it does keep the car from like peeling off the wall and falling back. It keeps the front end down just enough to help you crawl up. So it's just really cool. It's not too much of a cheat, but it does help enough to where it's really cool. And I have another of those badge holder things stuck onto the underside of the truck bed here. If you're traversing downwards, that'll help it from flipping over. What else do I have? Oh, the differential gears in here are Injora metal helical gears, because I just broke the plastic gear when I was pushing in low gear against like a little wall trying to climb up. I think that was mostly my fault, but also it is plastic, so it might have just gone out on its own at some other point. But yeah, that broke once, so they're metal now. And otherwise, yeah, that's the only changes that I've made to this car. I really like it a lot. Oh yeah, I added these little guys in here. These are Mini13 3D printed figures, and I made them little hard hats and ear pro and everything. But yeah, it seems like they fit into this model pretty well. Maybe they're a little bit big. I don't know. I'm not sure how big the Unimog actually is. I know when you look up modern Unimogs, they're huge, so the person looks tiny inside. But I think the older model Unimogs, like this one, they weren't quite as big. So the little drivers and stuff inside here, I think they fit pretty well. Anyway, yeah, I love this thing. I love driving it around. Oh yeah, another thing, I made a one-handed steering attachment for the transmitter for the FMS. So lets me steer with one hand pretty easily. This is made out of a soft TPU, and you just unscrew this middle bit, and I believe I had it, might have misplaced it now. You just unscrew that, pop this off, and then replace the foam outer with this TPU outer. And so you can still drive it with two hands, but you can also drive it with one hand quite easily, which is very nice, especially when you're walking around or you want to film with the other hand. Pretty cool.
Oh! Dude! Oh!